In today's video, I am going to be breaking down why zone defenses work so well in youth basketball. First off, it's extremely hard to be able to score on a zone if your team can't shoot. So if your team is like 9 or 10 years old and you're somehow able to get away with running a zone, you're going to be killing a lot of teams if you actually know how to run it. I'm going to tell you right now, it's extremely hard to be able to run a zone properly with 10-year-olds who haven't learned man defense. So my suggestion really quickly is teach man-to-man defense first before you teach zone, because it's easier to teach zone after they know man-to-man. Really quickly, if you want a killer zone defense, make sure to go check out my Unbeatable Basketball Zone Defense book that is down in the description below. It traps the corners, doubles the low post, and doesn't leave anybody open. So why is it so difficult to score on a zone? You have to understand what a zone is first. And that is you're guarding an individual area on the court and not an individual man, which means that there are gaps in a zone, as we can see right here, and those are fantastic areas to be able to attack a zone in. But if you don't know this, or if you are a kid, this becomes extremely hard. A lot of teams today will be running a 5-out offense, and if they're not, kids generally set up in this anyways. Or you may have a couple of kids who will set up like this or like this, saying pass the ball, one or the other. If your team sets up like this, because let's say you've got some big players, which would be a fantastic reason as to why a team may be running a 2-3 zone on you. What will happen is these two players should, but if they don't know or if they don't learn it properly, will not close the top, which means that the wings are wide open. To mitigate this, you will have players who will then, or at least these players, should be covering the ability to recover or to defend quickly on player 3, but at the same time, stop your ability from driving, but also stop the ability to pass to players 4 and 5. At this time, the pass would go to player 3. This should be a quick stunt. Player 1 should recover. Player 5 covers the low post. Player 2 covers the high post. Player 4 covers this whole weak side. At this time, player 3 should then drop, and player 1 would be then the one guarding player 3. The pass that goes up here should be intercepted by player 2. If not, then of course they would reverse the ball. After this pass, if they run an actual zone offense, you'll probably see player 1 cut to this corner, and at this point, player 3 needs to be cutting off any passes that go there. As you can see, we are still in a 2-3 zone. You'll notice that in most cases, there will always be 2 up top, 3 in the bottom on a 2-3 zone. How you want to be able to beat something like this is if you were to make quick passes. If you can get quick passes on a high-low zone or high-low offense, you should be quite successful on scoring against a zone. In most cases, it does work. However, you have to remember that these are little kids. If you haven't implemented a zone offense, it's going to be extremely hard to be able to actually beat a zone offense, which is why I always like to teach a 5-out offense, but at the same time, I like to run also a 4-out offensive set that does, or at least has a slight ability to be able to at least beat a zone defense. So if you do want the complete guide to the 5-out offense, it is down below. You can run the 5-out versus a zone. However, I will break that down here just slightly. You better go check out that book. However, it is a very common offense and you can run different things out of it. However, generally speaking, because anytime you attack a gap, you're going to get double teamed. Obviously, the rest of the zone is going to zone up. However, as you can see, anytime you attack a gap, you will be faced with multiple defenders. Now, this is something that does affect younger players because anytime they are double teamed, it is extremely hard for them to pass out, because what will happen is every other player will say, pass the ball, and they all get really close. And if they all clump together, it just brings their defenders with them and it just becomes one just terrible thing that happens, which is a turnover. Now, the reason why you can actually use this to your advantage is if you can teach your players, if they get double teamed, just don't pick up the ball. Keep that dribble, try to dribble out of that double team or pass out of that double team with one hand. If you can do that, you're going to be extremely successful. But you have to know how to dribble the ball under pressure. You have to understand how to dribble the ball with 2 defenders. And there's a lot of different drills that you can run with that. However, this is another reason why a zone defense works so darn successfully against young players. Because anytime they attack a gap, that then turns into a double team and almost an automatic turnover right away. But you can actually use this to your advantage, especially with a 5-out offense. So, for example, right here, if we can set up that 2-3 zone, we can have a quick pass over to player 4, another quick pass to player 5. Let's say player 5 attacks that gap. Now, everyone is going to be paying attention to him. We can have some weak side cutters, and if nobody sees that, now we've collapsed the defense. We can kick it out to player 1 in the corner for the 3-point shot. We move the ball to the left side, we got it into the paint, and then we got it out to the opposite side. Anytime that you can get paint touches against a zone, you are going to be very successful on shooting these threes. But that doesn't just mean that you have to be a 3-point shooter to beat a zone. Because now, look at this massive gap. If we can clear out fast enough, player 1 could have the speed to get around the defender who's now recovering out to him, and he could get himself a layup as well. So a very simple way of being able to beat a zone is very simply drive and kick, drive and kick, drive, kick, swing. That style offense does extremely well against a zone if you can move that ball fast enough. Really quickly, make sure to go check out my complete guide to the 5-out offense. Make sure to go also to check out the Unbeatable Basketball Zone Defense book that doubles the low post, traps the corners, and doesn't leave anybody open. I hope that this video has helped you. If it has, hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys again next time.